Hello and welcome to the podcast. I'm Sam.
And I'm Erica. And so I did this interpreting job this week, Sam, and this interesting idiom came up. The client, she was Norwegian, and I speak some Norwegian, so she said the idiom in Norwegian, and I was like, what does that mean? We were taking this route back from the bank, and she wanted to take this other direction, and the real estate agent another direction. They both thought it was more efficient. In the end, it was like similar. And so she translated it as 6 of one, half a dozen of the other.
Yeah.
Which is, to me, a very long phrase and idiom to say. How would you explain that idiom?
When you have two options and they're the same thing, basically. So you had two possible routes, and it was the same distance, the same amount of time.
You have one goal, and you can take either way to get to that goal, and it's very similar.
Yeah. Because so breaking down the idiom, 6 of one, so 6, we all know how many 6 is, half dozen of the other. So a dozen is 12, so a half dozen is 6. So you're basically saying 6 and 6, like it's the same thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I usually shorten it. I say it's 6 of one. Well, it's like 6 of one, right? And so the other person will know, 6 of one or half dozen of the other.
Exactly. Yeah. And another way we often say this is we say same difference, which I like because it's shorter.
Yeah.
Or we'll even say same difference.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, and then another phrase or idiom is more than one way to skin a cat.
Which is pretty dark when you think of it.
Skinning a cat, I don't know.
Yeah, why would you need to skin a cat? I don't know. But if someone says there's more than one way to skin a cat, they mean, well, there's more than one way to do something effectively. Maybe you're evaluating different strategies or different plans or certain different ways to get to the same goal. And someone could say, well, there's more than one way to skin a cat. Like, your way is good, my way is good. We just have to pick one.
Exactly. Yes. So like coming here today, I could ride the bike and walk a few blocks, which is maybe 15, 20 minutes, or I could take the bus, which is comparable. So I could say same difference, more than one way to skin a cat, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other.
Lots of different
Same difference, no matter what idiom.
Same difference.
They get across the same meaning.
Same difference. Yeah.
Sam, I must say your hair looks exquisite.
Oh,
it's kind of like pink, purple. It's like a mix, pink and purple, right?
Yeah, I did. I recently dyed it. Thank you. It's the pinky purple that I mixed.
Yeah.
And, that brings up an interesting topic. I feel like in the US, we are much more likely to receive or compliment a stranger on their appearance, on their style, their hair, accessories like jewelry, clothing, right? Am I alone
More
here?
than in Spain?
Much more than in Spain or in other countries, really. But obviously Spain is my main point of comparison. Mm-hmm. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think so. My experience is that people here, and maybe it's Europe in general, they don't want to stand out or be different as much. And I think that is more common in the US, that you want to, if you do have wonderful clothes or wonderful hair, it's like you want people to notice, and other people are comfortable pointing that out.
Yeah.
So.
Sort of celebrating, what you've got going on. Because, I have had colorful hair for several years now. And when I'm in the US, like it's like every day, someone will say, oh my God, I love your hair. Or, my hair is like, if I'm having a good hair day, it's like curly and nice. Someone's like, oh, your hair looks so good. Or if I'm wearing like a really colorful dress or just something fun, something a little out of the ordinary, I'm more likely to receive a compliment. Whereas here, I feel like I could put in all the effort I want, and it's very unlikely that someone, especially a stranger, would mention something. And I think you're right. I think in general, I've noticed in Spain too, like people dress a little more somberly, a little more, not to stand out. You see a lot of like whatever's in fashion is sort of what everyone's wearing, right?
Yeah.
And there's not as much sort of different, weird, vintage, retro style.
Yeah, there's more of the goal of fitting in, not being a center of attention, which I see. Even though Spanish people, they're very gregarious. They're not quiet, but they're also in general uncomfortable with being the center of attention.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, I've lived in Norway and Spain, and in terms of European countries. And I don't know, it's maybe that they have a very long history as a culture. It's a very set culture, and it's more valued to be a part, just be one of the many people in that culture where everything is, it's like, you're going to wear this, you're not going to stand out.
It's the collective.
The
it's
collective.
about, the collective, the community, right?
Yeah. Whereas in the US, it's a mix of cultures. Also, historically, I think people going there, you had to make your mark. You had to make an impression. It was maybe more superficial because you weren't like in your village where your grandparents were from, where everyone knows your family. It's like nobody knew you. So like historically, it's like you had to go there on your own and impress people off the bat, which maybe that was clothing or the way you acted.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think in the US, we idealize this quality of individualism, right? Independence, but also individualism, like an individual who really stands out, who has who's really left their mark, or who's easily identifiable. You can tell there's so many characters in the US that we kind of look up to who have done that. And I also think that in a capitalist society, if your brand can stand out, right? If you have an identifiable brand, like, oh, I know that brand, I recognize that brand, then you're more likely to have success in the capitalist market.
Right. On the other hand, I mean, I would say people in Spain, I don't know. There's a lot of people in the US who dress like just really bad. Like, I had a Spanish friend here who commented he spent a semester at a college in the US, and he was like, some people wear pajamas like to class.
Yeah. To the store. Yeah. It's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
So it's like there's this other extreme where like people really don't try, but then in other contexts, like they try really hard.
Yeah.
And like look amazing.
Well, I think it's like wearing your pajamas is also a little bit of a individualistic thing, because you're saying, I don't care what society thinks, right? Like if you can wear your pajamas outside, that's a very society does not approve of that. You're not looking for society's approval. So you're like on your own. Whereas I think here in Spain, people are very conscious. Like you can't go on the street looking a mess or looking.
Right. You have to fit into the expectations.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, it's interesting how a comment about my hair, a very genuine compliment about my hair, turned into a conversation about capitalism and
the history of an immigrant country.
Yeah. Look at that.
Well, let us know in the comments. So your culture, how do people react to compliments? Especially compliments that kind of pick you out of the crowd, Do you feel uncomfortable with that? Do you like it? Let us know.
Is it seen as a little bit rude or to mention something about someone, a stranger in public? Yeah, let us know. What's the deal in your country?
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the next podcast.
See you later.